The morning market was calm and peaceful. Voices of vendors echoed along the dirt road, blending with the scent of dried fish, fresh vegetables, and warm bread, painting the simple atmosphere of a new day. Jack walked slowly beside Tien, watching her carefully select each bundle of greens. He chuckled. "You're so picky, just like an engineer choosing a blueprint." Tien blushed and gave him a playful glare. "Well, it's for our family. I can't just pick carelessly." They both laughed, and for a moment it felt as if all storms had passed, leaving only warmth behind. Yet, just a few steps later, fate led them to a man whose very presence would open a door to a past buried for 30 long years. At the corner of the market, an old beggar sat huddled in the dust. His clothes were torn, his gray hair tangled, his face gaunt and hollow. Cloudy, lifeless eyes stared into nothingness, while his frail hand trembled as it reached out for a shred of compassion. Tien paused. Her gentle heart ached. She quietly took a piece of bread and some fruit from her basket, offering it to him. "Please, sir, eat something to ease your hunger." The old man's hands shook as he accepted it, lips moving, whispering broken words no one could understand. Jack stood beside her in silence, watching with sympathy in his eyes. But then, something strange happened. As Tien bent closer, her hand shifted, revealing an old silver ring, the only keepsake she had carried since childhood. The sun glinted off its scratched surface. At first, the beggar didn't notice. But in the next instant, his cloudy eyes widened, suddenly blazing with light. His body trembled violently. He clutched the bread, his breath ragged. Then, as if stabbed by 1,000 knives of memory, he grabbed his head and screamed in agony. "No, no, don't make me do it. Spare the children, my son, don't kill him." His desperate cries shook the entire market. Passers-by stopped whispering to each other. "That old man's gone mad." Startled, Tien reached out with trembling hands to steady him. But he shoved her away, throwing the food to the ground. Staggering on crippled legs, he suddenly bolted through the crowd, leaving shock and confusion in his wake. Jack pulled Tien close, his arm around her shoulders. "Don't be afraid. Maybe he's not in his right mind." But even Jack couldn't hide the doubt flickering in his eyes. Tien's heart pounded wildly, as if she had brushed against an invisible terror. The ring in her hand trembled, its glimmer blurred by the tears in her eyes. The old man stumbled into an abandoned row of houses at the edge of the market and collapsed. His mind spun, and memories long buried clawed their way back, shattering into fragments that tore through him. In his delirium, he heard the storm, the rain, and his own broken screams from 30 years ago. That night, the sky churned with black clouds. Thunder roared, lightning split the heavens in fury. Inside the grand hall of the Lai family estate, a middle-aged man knelt, his shoulders trembling. It was him back when he was still the loyal butler of the household. Before him, Li Hak Long sat with legs crossed on a gilded chair, a glass of wine in his hand, his voice icy and merciless. "Do you understand? Those 3 girls must disappear. If not, your son will not live to see the morning." With a sharp clang, he set a gleaming knife on the table, its metallic ring echoing through the night. The butler's body shook. "Please, I beg you, spare them. They are just innocent children." Hak Long smirked with contempt, tilting his head. "You think you have the right to pity them? Choose 3 children or the single life of your son." The words pierced his chest like a blade. His blood froze. Behind him, 2 henchmen gripped the shoulders of his 16-year-old boy, pressing a knife to the boy's throat. The child trembled, eyes red with tears choking on his plea. "Father, save me." The father's heart shattered into pieces. Lowering his head, his fists slammed the floor. His voice cracked in despair. "Fine. I will do it." Haklong's lips curled into a cruel smile. With a flick of his hand, the boy was spared for now. But the predator's gaze clung to the butler, like a shadow cornering him in silence. That night, under a storm that drenched the earth, the butler carried 3 newborns out of the estate. Rain lashed against his legs as he stumbled down the muddy path. The infants wailed their cries, cutting into his heart like jagged knives. In the bitter cold, he found shelter beneath the roof of an abandoned hut, a dim oil lamp flickering inside. With shaking hands, he pulled out a scrap of cloth, a needle and thread. He knew, if he left these babies nameless, they would vanish forever, their roots lost. His breath was ragged, his stitches crooked, but he pressed on. On the tiny shirt of the eldest, he sewed the words Li Tu Tu. On the second child's shirt, his clumsy hand traced Li Tu Tien. And on the youngest broken threads, formed Li Tu Linda. His vision blurred, tears mixing with the rain. He whispered, "At least, you will know who you are. I cannot let you disappear into nothingness." The 3 infants cried softly, their innocent eyes staring up at him, unaware that their fates had already been bound to a bloody storm. In the heavy downpour, after clumsily stitching the names onto the babies' shirts, the butler sat in silence for a long time. His frail arms trembled as they cradled all 3 children close to his chest. Still they cried, their wails rising with the thunder, slicing his chest open like a blade. He knew he could not carry them any farther. If he lingered, Haklong's men would catch up, and besides, there was nowhere left to hide. In his despair, he made a choice. He stopped at a poor, remote village hidden deep in the valley. Its people were simple, untouched by the outside world. He believed, at the very least, they would take the children in, even if the little ones never knew who their parents were. Kneeling by the hearth of a small thatched hut at the village's edge, he laid the 3 babies into a bamboo cradle. Their frail cries echoed through the storm. A mountain woman opened the door, startled by the heartbreaking sight. With a broken voice, the butler's hands shook as he handed over the keepsakes. For the eldest, he placed an aged necklace tarnished with time. For the second and the youngest, he slipped a silver ring into each of their swaddling cloths. Each bore the engraved crest of the Lai family. Tears streamed down his face as he whispered, "Please, keep them safe. This is all that remains to prove who they are. I am powerless now. Forgive me." Turning away, he stumbled into the storm, each step heavier than the last, as if his heart had been ripped from his chest. But fate was not yet finished with him. Just a few weeks later, Lai Haklong uncovered the truth. The butler was dragged mercilessly back, thrown onto the cold ground. In front of him, his only son was bound tightly, eyes wide with terror. Haklong took a long drag from his cigarette, exhaling smoke with a mocking laugh. "You dared deceive me. Did you truly think you could hide those 3 children? Nothing escapes my eyes." The butler collapsed, sobbing, crawling forward to beg, "Please, I beg you, spare him. The fault is mine alone, don't kill my boy." But Haklong only sneered. With a cold nod, the blade flashed. A scream tore the night apart. Hot blood splattered across the ground. The butler howled, his voice breaking his mind, shattering as he tried to lunge forward, but the guards held him down. His heart exploded with grief. "No, my son." But that desperate cry saved nothing. Haklong wasn't finished. With a flick of his hand, 2 henchmen swung their clubs, shattering the butler's legs. He writhed in agony, left broken on the ground. "You wish to pity them? Then I'll let you live crippled, humiliated, drowning every day in the memory of betrayal's price." From that night on, the butler was cast out of the estate. He became a wandering beggar, his memory fading in fragments, but the pain of losing his son carved itself forever into his soul. 30 years later, the noise of the village market rang in his ears. The old man jolted awake, cold sweat pouring down his face, his chest heaving. With trembling hands, he pulled from his shirt a tattered slip of paper yellowed with age. On it, scrawled in shaky handwriting, were 3 names: Li Tu Tu, Li Tu Tien, Li Tu Linda. Tears welled in his eyes as his lips muttered in madness. "I didn't kill you. I saved you. But my son? He died instead." Tears mixed with a twisted smile. He laughed, then sobbed, then screamed, lost in his insanity. Not far away, hidden in the shadows, a figure watched in silence. Coiled around his arm was a tattoo of a black dragon. He pulled out a phone, his voice low and hoarse. "Boss, the old man is still alive, and it seems he's found one of the children." On the other end of the line, a cold, merciless laugh echoed.